Good day everyone, GarageKing here, and on today's video we're going to install the MightyMouse Generation 5 Plus Catch Can in my Corvette. If you're paying attention, you'll say, what is this right now? I do believe in quick fittings. I had another catch can installed right there, but I'm going to replace it with the MightyMouse, going to run it for a while, see what happens. So I don't have to lift the blower and do all that because I'd already done that. So I'm going to roll that footage for those that want to see how to lift the blower.
Now to get the throttle body boot off, there's only two 8mm bolts. You can either use a screwdriver or you can use a socket. I prefer to use a socket just because this way you don't have to worry about scratching anything. And we'll unclip that vacuum hose you can see right there at the front. Here's a shot from the other side. We can just wiggle it out, and then once it pops out, don't forget to undo the connector on the side of the throttle body. And if you're wondering why we have to lift the blower up, I was able to get my camera and get a really good shot. You can see right in and under there. That's the part we have to remove. That's where our, I guess, diverter, if you want to call it, is going to go into there. So that's what we got to remove. There's no way to get your hands in there without lifting the blower. Okay, so here's the top of the supercharger.
Next we're going to take the serpentine belt off. And on the Z06 there is two serpentine belts. I'm going to come in there nice and close. You can see there's one behind. I'll draw a little arrow. That is for your AC unit, and the one in front is for the blower. So if I pan over here, this is a 15mm bolt. We're just going to twist that. Now I'm just going to do the supercharger bolts. There's 5 on each side. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and there is a 5th one. You can see it's right in there. So what I've done is I've got my quarter drive on a swivel. So it's an easy one to get to. Bolt on the driver's side is actually quite easy, but on the passenger side here, you can see it is really tight. So I'm gonna actually use a wrench to get in here.
So as you can see here, I'm just using my wrench here. It just takes some time, but you can get it out, and you don't actually have to remove the bolt. As long as it's loose, that's all you need. You can see there with my finger, I'm just pushing it up. I'll get you a better angle here. And there you go, we can see it's loose. That's all you need to do, just to make sure you can lift the blower.
If we look now, we can see I can actually move the supercharger. It is loose. Okay, so I was able to lift it up. You can see there how much it's actually lifted up. There's the aligning pins. There's the gaskets right there. You can see they're actually these rubber things. I've used some tape here. Actually I tried the electrical tape first and it wasn't thick enough. So then I'm using this piece of tape there, and then you can see that's what we have to take out. I'll throw an arrow up there. That's where it goes up underneath into the supercharger port. 14mm there. Let's put this around here to protect our idler. And this would be the way to take it out because it's actually just in there hand tight. As you can see, I didn't even have to put a tool on this to turn it or anything like that. I brought a wrench out. I thought I was going to have to wrench it out, but no, didn't have to wrench it out. Let's get you a better view. And there we go. That's a piece, so let's take it to the bench. So here's our PCV valve. We're gonna save it. You can actually, it's got a one-way valve in it. Ordered a new one. Let's take off these O-rings, and we're gonna put these O-rings on. So we're just gonna change them over. There we go, and it's in. And then now we can just turn it. Looks like it's in, so let's go get our other piece. Now we're just gonna put on our hose.
And there you can see there's the hose perfectly installed, and I also put a clamp on the end of it to make sure there's no leaks. There you go.
So the supercharger is down. Let's pan in here and you can see exactly what happened. We're loose here. So there it goes right through there. What I did there too is I just put a little bit of wiring loom. You can see that just goes there. That's just our little vacuum. We're gonna put the belt on, but before we do that, we're just gonna torque down the supercharger.
So before I torque them down, what I'm going to do is just twist them all in by hand just to make sure that nothing is cross-threaded. And actually when they were coming out, I can feel they were all kind of stiff coming out. They had Loctite on the bolts, and I can feel as I'm spinning them back in by hand, they get stiff again, and that's the Loctite. So I can tell the Loctite is still there. Now what I'm doing now, and what I normally always do, is I just snug them all down by hand. And then what I'll do after that is I'll break out the torque wrench and I'll throw up the torque sequence for you all. And remember, you're supposed to do it twice. So once you torque it down once, do it again.
Okay, so we are at the bench right now. So here's the can. I have the inlet and the outlet. I'll throw up some pictures. Make sure you get them right because I don't want anyone installing it improperly because there is an inlet and there is an outlet. The can only works with it going one way. Now, I have to clock mine differently. I was gonna just do it quick, but I thought, you know what? I'll just show it quick so everyone can see it. I'm just gonna take out the fittings just like so. I have to have, the way I'm going to install it, I have to have the inlet there. This is the outlet. This is the inlet. So the inlet has the mesh. Anyway, not a huge deal. We just have to make sure that we have it installed correctly. There we go. So I want to have my inlet right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of these in just to hold it so it doesn't spin anymore. We don't want it spinning. So let's do that. Then what we can do is we can tighten up this. You want to make sure you line it up because I find if this thing is not lined up correctly, or if it's a little bit off, what happens is these things are tight to turn in and you don't want to damage the threads. Now, I was in contact with MightyMouse and they said it's very important that these are snugged up nice and tight because if they're not snugged up nice and tight with the O-ring, it reduces the efficiency of the can. So it's important to do that. So now, instead of fighting with these threads, and I definitely don't want to round any threads, now that they're in and it's lined up, I can take this back off, just like so. Okay, and now, you can see I'm doing this, you probably hear it. Now it's actually a lot easier. See, I can actually hand tighten them in a little bit more. So now what I'll do is I'll just take my nice AN wrench, just like so, and I'm gonna snug them up. Just like that. Yep. There we go. So now that they're tight and I didn't scratch anything, everything still looks good, I can put the cover back on, like so. So there we go, screwed it in by hand. Now I can just snug it up with the wrench, make sure it's snug, the top piece. There we go, just like so. Nice and snug. Now there is our can. Now, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to put our bracket on first. What we're gonna do is just take this one off, it's not a big deal. And we can just slide it up through the bottom. I don't wanna scratch the can at all. There we go, so I'm gonna take it right up to that fitting, just like so. And then we can put this one back in. Now this is just plastic with a little rubber seal, so it obviously doesn't have to be that tight. So we'll just snug that up. Now if I'm looking at the can from the top, I want to make sure that this is straight. So there we go. So now I'm just going to snug this one up here. Okay, so we have a bit of a problem. I find I can't get it to hold a seal, and I think these things are a little bit too long, these bolts. But when I was holding my hand over here and I was blowing in one, you know, and I had this part sealed, so I'm totally sealing it off. I could hear them leaking from the fittings a little bit, and I even used my doctor kind of stethoscope, just a mechanic stethoscope to verify that's where it's coming from. This is better. Good thing I have it on a swivel. So now I can totally seal it like this. I can stick my finger right here, and actually that's part of my body's against it here holding the can so it doesn't fall off. Now, I don't know if I can do a zoom. I'm gonna try when I edit this, but you can see there, I actually have a little bit there and then it goes right back down, but I can't pump it up. So I'm gonna try just sanding these down a little bit. So the ones that I got here, they were just a little bit too long, and even when I screwed them in all the way, they were just bottoming. The can had a wee bit of a leak. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna just sand this down just a wee bit, just so I can have them go in the can a little bit more and squeeze on the O-ring. That's what I need to do. Now it's important when you sand them down, it's actually very easy if you use a strip of emery cloth like I did. And you'll see the ring. You can get this ring should be equal all the way around. If this ring is thicker on one side, then obviously you're going too hard on one side because you want this to be perfectly flat so when it seals. So make sure that this ring is the same size, kind of like how it is right now. You can see it's perfectly round, so you can tell I've sanded it perfectly smooth and I didn't sand it on an angle. All right, so now that I've sanded them down a little bit each one, I'm gonna cover it again like this, and we're gonna see with the vacuum pump, we should be able to get a vacuum. It should seal up. There you go. Now, if you look at that there, you can see now we're holding a vacuum. I couldn't even pump it up before, not at all. And now I'll let it go just like this on the side. Hopefully not all of them are like that. You probably don't have to, but an easy way to check is all you have to do is put your hand on the top, cover one, and just blow in one. And you shouldn't hear anything because I was able to do it without a vacuum gauge. I brought out this just because if you guys see me on the screen blowing into this thing saying I hear a hissing, someone is gonna say, well, you're not making a proper seal or whatever. So I did it the exact same way you saw before and after. You saw I couldn't even draw a vacuum, and then now it's the can seals perfectly. So I just used the gauge to show it. So we can see here I'm doing the test too. I just hold this here, and actually it does seal quite well with the top on. So now that I've machined those, not machined, but just use a little bit of emery cloth, take them down. You can see there, maybe I'll do a little magnifying glass there. You can see it is holding vacuum. So now the can is perfect. Okay, so we're panning into the car right now, and you can see we have 3 bolts right there. These are all ground straps. And here's our MightyMouse adapter. So this thing is gonna go like this. Much better than the old one. You had to actually disconnect this wire here for your suspension. Not disconnect it, but unplug it from there. And with this new piece, you actually don't have to. So that's pretty good. The one thing is I've seen on a few videos, guys trying to bend this, this big one all over the place here. I don't want to bend anything, so I got to find a way around it. So I'm going to move some ground brackets or ground wires around, and we're going to see what we can do so we don't actually have to bend anything. Okay, so 3 bolts. We got the 13 on the swivel. So what we're going to do is we're just going to undo all of these bolts right here. And all 3 of these bolts are the same, so you don't have to, it doesn't matter which hole they all go back in, but we gotta reuse them all. Now to clean up the wires, we know this one, it's factory, that's fine here. We're gonna move this one over here. We should be able to if we move it underneath. I think, yeah, this one go here. So you can put these 2 over there, that's fine. This one won't have anything on it anymore. And then this one, I gotta decide what to do because I don't think the can's gonna fit. And I don't want to bend it down. And there you go. You can see we're down in there, right here. And we got our spark plug there. There's our exhaust manifold. So there's really not a lot of room to bend this. Like you really don't have much room at all. And I can tell when the can goes in here, there's no way it's gonna fit. So we got to get rid of this bolt. All right, so when you're putting these together, these 2 here, this little one has to go underneath just because of this lip on this one. This one has a lip, so you'll put the little one first and then the big one goes on top. And make sure when you're tightening them down, you're sort of moving them a bit just so you can know for yourself that nothing's binding. Okay, so you're gonna wanna leave these a little loose just so we can move them around if we have to. And then let's dry fit the can and see how it looks. So panning in here, you can see there's our bolt holes. So we're almost, you know, we're pretty well lined up, but this one piece right here, this one ground strap. I'm gonna go to the other side. Here it is, that one ground strap. You know, it's too tight and I don't wanna bend it down. Okay, so we're gonna move this ground right here, and where we're gonna put it is right underneath. You can see this bolt right there. Now I know everyone's telling me, oh, there's a rubber connector, you know, it's gonna insulate. We're not gonna go there. We're gonna actually go between right there. I'll see if I can get some light on the back there. There you go. So that's where we're gonna go. We're gonna go between, so there'll be a solid steel connection there. And on the bottom there, this rubber bushing should, if I know GM, should have a flat piece of steel, because I can feel, actually with my finger, I can feel there's rubber there, but I bet you any money there's a nice flat, like almost like washer bushing there. So we're gonna have to undo these couple bolts. So one there, and then there's one down, there you go, right at the back. So there's one at the back. Here I got my swivel, 10 mil on a swivel, and we're just gonna undo these bolts real quickly. There we go. There's the underside of it. You can see right there I'm moving it, and you can see it's all steel. So that's fine. Okay, so to stick this thing underneath, the only thing we have to do is see this little tab right there. We have the tab. We're just gonna have to straighten that out. So I'm just gonna pull this up with a pair of pliers, just like so, and we're just gonna straighten it out if I can. Might need a bigger pair of pliers. There we go. So now it's straight. We should be able to put it right underneath.
Now you can do this just like I'm doing it, but you have to do one important step or else your car's not going to start and you're going to get this sound. That's right, that's my car not starting. So there is a workaround. What you have to do is you have to sand the pad that the ground strap sits on. So once you sand the pad like this and clean it and then reinstall it, everything will work out fine. So if you want to move your ground strap, this is what you have to do, or else you're going to have a no start. So take note on this.
And there you go, it's just in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna torque it down now, the two 13 mil bolts. There we go. Okay, so this is where the magic happens. So now we have our inlet and our outlet. I use quick fittings on everything. And once I finally get them into place, what we'll do is we'll tighten them up with my AN wrench. All right, now we're gonna do the final hookup. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna have to disconnect the throttle body, and we're gonna put a T in there. So we're just gonna pull this off, squeeze it, give it a pull, just like so. We're gonna put this T connector in, just like so. We're gonna connect this back up, just like so. So now we have that in there. Then we have our dirty line coming from under the blower. So I'm just gonna snap that on, just like so. Now I could make it a little prettier. I could probably, I could have used this as an inlet. I could have made this short come down and then did a 90 in there. But the problem is I want to leave this long just in case I put the other catch can on, or I run them together or do something else. Because once you cut this hose, that's it, because that goes under the blower, and I really don't want to have, you know, I don't want to have to join it together and stuff like that. So I want to leave it as one hose. And if you notice, I'm just waiting to do the final tighten up there, just so I can adjust the lines. And then here's the line that goes to the throttle body. So here's what I made. So I have a one-way valve in here. Now, if you buy this can from MightyMouse, you do not need a one-way check valve because they have it built into the can, but I didn't get it built into the can because I already had an extra check valve, so I was being a little bit cheap there. I tried to save myself a few dollars. So now what we're gonna do is we are going to plug this in underneath the throttle body. So, or not underneath the throttle body, to the throttle body, just like so. Let's give it a push. There we go, that's snapped in. This will go right here. And there we go, just like so, and this is gonna snap on just like that. If I wanna empty my can, really, really easy to take out the can. All you do is go like this, go like this. You got your two bolts there, and then and then unpop this from the throttle body. You can take your can out and drain it. Really, really easy to get your can in and out. So let's just hook it back up. Just like so. And now let's start it, see how it sounds.
So that is it for the video, another successful conclusion. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, by all means, let me know. If you need any fittings, let me know. As far as quality for the MightyMouse can, what did I think of it? I think it's excellent quality, probably one of the best on the market. The machining is absolutely superb. I really debated whether or not I should even put in, you know, what happened to me with the fittings, but I thought everyone should know because it's really not a big deal to check your can just to see, and if you have to take a few thousandths of an inch off to make the fitting a little bit shorter so it compresses that rubber seal, it's really not a big deal. But I wouldn't change a thing with the MightyMouse can, because if the fittings come too short, then what's going to happen is they're going to split the O-rings and you're going to get a worse leak. So I think the way it came was just perfect. I had to do that little bit of an adjustment, but I don't want to make a big deal out of that because anybody can do it and it's just an easy thing to do. So anyway, that is all for the video. Hope to see you again. Thank you, GarageKing, over and out.